How big is the wage gap between male and female athletes? What is being done and how are women reacting? I will be discussing the topic of inequality of females in male-dominated sports. Throughout history, women have had to fight for their right to be an equivalent of men. From the right to vote, to get a job, and the right to get paid the same. The wage gap still exists in today's world, and research shows that the woman makes 80 cents to the man's dollar in the exact same job. There is also a wage gap in sports. Women make significantly less than the men in their counterpart sports. We will discuss different aspects of this topic, including how women around the world are coming together to enhance equality, what some men athletes have to say, how the bodies of men and women differ, and the most recent Olympics with the most female sports to date. To start, one sport that there is a huge wage gap is soccer. The players on the World Cup winning United States women's national soccer team earn less money than their counterparts on the men's national team. This video will explain just how big that gap is.
The kicks just keep on coming at the Women's World Cup in Canada. The stands are packed with fans. What's missing from this contest compared to the Men's World Cup is money, lots of money. The women's football world says that has to change.
These women, they train just as hard as the men do. You know, we inspire as many young players around the world as the men do, and so there's no reason why you need to have 100, 200 to 1 disparity in pay.
A lot of the women who are playing in the game right now are actually having to take on 2 or 3 jobs to help supplement that income. So it's a huge disadvantage for one, to recruit the best players, 2, to actually retain them.
The best women's soccer player, Marta Vieira da Silva from Brazil, makes $400,000 a year.
That's double the reported salary of the next highest earners, Abby Wambach and Alex Morgan of the U.S.
With fewer layers of skin than your face?
None of this factors in endorsements. Nevertheless, pay remains a pittance compared to the stars of more established men's football.
The highest paid men's soccer player, Cristiano Ronaldo, earned $52 million last year, not including his millions in other endorsements.
World Cup awards are unequal as well. $15 million will be handed out at the Women's World Cup, compared with $576 million in the Men's World Cup. In the U.S., the National Women's Soccer League argues that it's only been in business a few years and is still trying to find an audience. It says a TV deal could be reached soon, which could boost popularity and attendance. That could lead to higher salaries. Women's football superstar Brandi Chastain told Christiana Amanpour that she also believes change is coming.
We've grown in such a very short time, so if someone was forward-thinking, they would get on the train right now and say, I'm going to make a big deal out of this because the rest of the world is finally coming around.
The goal for women's football is clear: greater respect and more green on the green. Samuel Burke, CNN, New York.
The women earn less money, yet have to do even more work. Based on the video, most women soccer players have to work other jobs and not have their entire focus on soccer. Another example is, within the last 3 years, the women's national team has played more games than the men's national team. Shockingly, sometimes 40 to 50% more, yet they are paid not even close. The United States has become an inspiration for other countries like Spain, Nigeria, Ireland, Australia, and Norway. They have all come together in different ways in order to battle this problem. Nigeria's players held a sit-in at their hotel to demand unpaid salaries and bonuses after winning the African Championship. Australia's held a strike. Norway's players demanded and won equal pay with their male counterparts. Ireland's women's soccer team threatened to skip games last year because, among other things, the players were tired of sharing tracksuits with the country's age group national teams. As well as Canada's soccer team asked for advice on how to get maternity coverage into contracts. Novak Djokovic has made comments about that women should not get the same because more people watch men. This brings on the very controversial topic of viewership and revenue. but female players are paid significantly less at women-only events when compared with similar-sized men's events. CEO of Indian Wells Tournament, Raymond Moore, thinks that women ride on the coattails of the men. However, he got a huge lashback for saying this, and women athletes like Serena Williams called him out for being offensive and mistaken. Women like her would accredit her inspiration to other women athletes like Billie Jean King, who broke so many barriers in the 70s. Her most memorable moment was beating male tennis player Bobby Riggs in what was called the Battle of the Sexes. It's very obvious that men and women's bodies are built very differently. They have different muscle distribution and fat distribution, as well as bone structure. Statistics show that in non-contact sports, female athletes can suffer more knee and shoulder injuries compared to males. This means that they are putting their bodies and themselves more at risk than men. So this brings the question, why aren't women getting properly compensated for their risk of injury? The Olympics have come a long way from when they started, and with adding more and more female sports. However, there are still some sports that women are banned from. For example, race walking 50 kilometers, canoeing 100, 200, and 5,000 meters, and swimming 1,500 meters. However, we have evidence that women are very capable of succeeding in these sports. The Rio Olympics have been the most inclusive thus far, with 306 events, 61 for men, 136 for women, and 9 mixed events. Some sports that recently included women are the marathon in 1984, football in 1996, and wrestling in 2004. The following video clip is a Nike ad that recounts the struggles of women athletes of all ages.
When I was growing up, girls just didn't run in public.
No one on my all-boys team would pass to me.
Dad told me I couldn't be a boxer. He said I was too small.
There was a guy who tried to spit on me and then push me out of his way.
There comes a point where you have to be sure of yourself. People aren't used to women being so passionate. It scares them.
One day, I just said it doesn't matter what other people think.
I'm a fashion model who can dunk.
I'm a girl. That doesn't mean I have to wear a skirt.
Doesn't mean I can't get all fired up. They used to say, that girl is crazy.
But then I just kept winning.
I didn't set out to dominate. I just did.
Somebody's got to be the best, so why not me?
I'm 55 years old and I run close to 70 miles a week.
I never felt like quitting.
There's something telling me to do it every single day. Just want to play ball.
I am Cappy Pondexter.
Diana Taurasi.
Sherry Nelson.
I'm Peekaboo Street.
And I got something to say.
Female athletes have to overcome the bias that their game isn't as good as the men's game.
Are boys bigger, stronger, faster? Yes. Is that all that has to do with being an athlete? No.
The halfpipe doesn't care that I'm a girl.
I want to pitch for the Boston Red Sox.
And when I look in the mirror, I see an athlete.
I am a runner.
A snowboarder.
Ball player.
Triathlete.
Softball player.
I am an athlete.
And I'm proud of that athlete.
It's not a girl thing. It's not a boy thing. It's a skills thing.
It's very clear that women have to overcome adversity just to play the sport that they love. According to this video clip, Ronda Rousey describes the UFC as the most women-friendly sport out there.
You've also said that MMA is the most pro-woman sport in the world.
It's true.
Why? Why you're so convicted to that?
Why? Because for the first time ever, there's no distinction between men and women in a sport. There's WNBA, there's women's tennis, there's all these W's everywhere. And just a few months ago, women were introduced into the octagon for the first time just as bantamweights. There was no need to put the women in front, because why they don't say men's bantamweight division, why do they have to say women's? And it's the first sport in the world to completely eradicate the separation. And so when the women are introduced in their titles, I'm the UFC bantamweight champion. I'm not the UFC women's bantamweight champion because the guys aren't the UFC men's bantamweight champion, so they totally got rid of it. And it's the only sport in the world to do that.
Women have overcome many barriers and have made a lot of progress with hard work and determination. However, the fight is nearly over, but I'm sure women will persevere to the end.